But guys, mindset is the established set of attitudes held by someone. And on the screen, as you guys can see, I have Dr. Evil. This is how I think about my mindset. I think that I'm Dr. Evil, and quite literally, if I'm approaching a challenge or any type of adversity, I will do that evil laugh, and like I'm excited for the fact that I have an opportunity to either prove people wrong or just a general non-seriousness to life is my approach. So why me? Why am I here to talk to you guys about mindset? Is it because I had a really rough upbringing? No, it is not that. I did have divorced parents, but everyone knows that just means double Christmases. Is it life-altering challenges? No, it's not that. Surely I've had some, but no, it's not that either. Is it because I'm just super optimistic? I am super optimistic, but it's not that either. As you guys could probably guess by the 3 red X's that are here on the screen. This is me, freshman year of high school. Thank you, Tom. Absolutely jacked, fresh-ass fade, and the photographer probably had to rip girls off of me to get this picture taken. But I was like, literally, guys, I was one of the weakest people on my football team. I was super undersized. I could probably bench the bar plus some 5s on it. Super embarrassing. Like, I was pretty decent at actual football, but at the time, I was just like so much smaller than everyone, and I was like, God, this sucks. You know, I'm getting worked in practice, like not playing. I made the B team as a freshman, which is pretty embarrassing. There was like an A team, and then they had a B team where they were like, all right, you guys can like play, you know, some parts of some games, and I was like, oh my God. Fast forward, this is me graduating senior night, not graduating, but this is senior night of college. I ended up going on to play at Ohio State University. Go Buckeyes. And also, I don't want to hear from any of you guys about the national championship. But yeah, this is my senior night. I was a walk-on, so I came not a preferred walk-on, not one of those ones where they were like, yeah, come to the school. We don't have a scholarship, but we really want you on the team. I was a straight off the streets walk-on. So I walked on, no connections, literally didn't know anybody, and walked on completely off the streets. And the reason I'm showing you guys these things is because not only was there a pretty big physical change from here to my freshman year of high school, but there was a huge mental change. I'll give you guys another example. Here is me, senior year of high school, rocking the tie-dye shirt. As you guys can see, my general non-seriousness of life approach with my smile. So I did well in high school. I did all right. I didn't do well enough because my goal was to get into Ohio State, which being an in-state school is actually kind of tough to get into. My GPA wasn't there. My ACT, I guess, wasn't there. And so they deferred me, which means they were basically like, all right, Clay, we want to see everyone else's applications before we decide if we're going to let you in or not. So then the day came where they were like, all right, we have everyone else's applications. They sent me another letter in the mail, waitlisted. So I got waitlisted from the school, which means they're like, all right, Clay, if no one else, if not everyone accepts their enrollment, we may throw you a bone last day and let you in. So luckily for me, I'm super, super stubborn. And so I waited till the very last day, got accepted on the final day of my senior year, and then I got immediately declined from my major, which was finance, because they said that they didn't think I would be successful in it. This is me graduating, so I did end up graduating. But that's not the impressive part. I did graduate top 1% of my class, and I got a 4.0 my last semester just to spite the lady that said that to me. And I hate school, so like, didn't learn a whole lot through school. I literally just did this to prove myself a point. But yeah, overall, I mean, that girl in the background thought the picture was for her, it looks like. But yeah, we ended up Big Ten champions my senior year, got academic all Big Ten. And again, huge mindset shift from my senior year of high school to my senior year in college. There's my little graduation cap. Glad I made it off the wait list. And guys, here's the last and final example. So this is me and my friend Derek. We he basically came down to visit me one day, and Derek and I hate running. We like lifting. You know, after a couple years of football, I was like, all right, I'm never running again. Derek chugged 8 beers, shows up at my apartment, and then he's like, all right, let's go on a run. And I'm like, okay. I take him on a run. We go like 4 miles. And that's like probably the furthest we'd gone in a maybe ever or a long time. And then the next day we did like 5 or 6, and then the next day we did like 7 or 8. And then Friday we did our first ever half marathon. So within 1 week we did a half marathon, and we ran slow as shit. If you guys can see, the pace is like, it took us almost 3 hours to complete a half marathon, which if you guys don't know what that is, that's really slow. Like, some people complete their full marathons in that amount of time, but Derek and I had a thing where we were like, all right, we just want to go without stopping running. And so we completed it. As you can see, Derek's dying in the background. But like Jeff said, just a few weeks after that point, probably more like a month and a half, this is really Tyler's fault. He convinced me to try a 100-miler. So we ended up going and running 100 miles. I ran with the 0% bib on, of course. But yeah, that's us in the middle of the woods, like, I don't even know what mile, probably like 70. And here is a picture of my feet, which I'm sure you guys really wanted to see. I mean, statistically speaking, I know there's some of you guys out there in the audience that wanted to see feet pics. So guys, the secret weapon for me really boils down to one thing and one thing only, and that is the ability to suffer. So my secret weapon, and everybody has this ability, but not everybody uses it, is the ability to suffer. We got a little lag here. Okay, so guys, what is the one consistent theme across every great story you've ever heard, every great person in history, and all these great people on the screen? It is the ability to suffer and withstand suffering, and also it's how they handle it. Clearly the guy in the top right corner, I don't even know who he is, he's suffered a lot. But the good news is you guys all have this ability too. And I'm going to show you guys today how to handle suffering properly. So suffering is the state of undergoing pain, distress, or hardship, and how you respond to instances of suffering will determine the quality of your life. So again, today I want to show you guys how to suffer and handle it with grace. Guys, this is super, super important to me because this is, again, moments of suffering they've been some of the greatest moments of my life because they've led to the biggest accomplishments. So everyone's going to go through states of undergoing pain, distress, or hardship. You can't avoid those throughout life. So the ability to handle it is super, super important, and most people try to avoid it. So here's this little Venn diagram that I created, super scientific. Suffering that happens to you is looked at negatively. These are things like diabetes and cancer and car crashes. They're looked at negative. They're the unavoidable tragedies of life. These are things you are not in control of. And then we have self-imposed suffering on the right side. So self-imposed suffering, that is things like going on a long run or cold plunges or fasting or working out or doing really focused, disciplined work for a specific period of time. So the interesting thing is, self-imposed suffering, it builds discipline, willpower. These are things you are in control of, like I said. Self-imposed suffering helps you with suffering that happens to you. And both of them, everyone thinks suffering's all bad, but both of them build character, they give perspective, they help you form gratitude, and they can both be handled well. So again, another super scientific graph. I created it myself. As you guys can probably tell by the drawing there. So your potential in life is directly linked to your ability to handle suffering. And there's a very specific point. So this is a little compounding graph. But there's a point where when you become comfortable and you can embrace suffering, your potential in life becomes unlimited. So that's also the same moment when you become really confident, because you start to realize that if you can handle suffering, there's really no moments in your life that you won't be able to handle. And once you're able to handle suffering, you're super confident because you know you can handle yourself in any situation. So this is what most people do. Most people wait until life smacks them in the face in order to make a shift in their mindset. So we have Batman smacking Robin here. These are things like people who eat really unhealthy and they don't exercise, and then all of a sudden they get smacked in the face by diabetes. Or it's people who neglect people in their relationships, and then they treat people poorly, and then they end up alone. So, and in a lot of cases, it takes something even more extreme than these examples to wake people up and to make them realize that they need to make a shift. So I'm here to tell you guys, stop waiting for a life-altering event to shift your mindset. So as kind of like what I was telling you guys earlier, I was showing you guys pictures of like me at the rock bottom point. And then I was showing you guys pictures of like me at the, the overall bigger success point. So there's people at rock bottom, and then they shift to this great success. The thing is, you hear all these amazing stories. You hear the David Goggins, the Jeff Seckingers of the world. And then what they don't tell you is that it wasn't the moment of rock bottom and it wasn't the moment of great success that ultimately shifted their mindset. It was actually the mundane, daily actions, the thoughts that they thought on a daily basis. It was the process of that entire journey that ultimately shifted their mindset. So again, people's mindsets change when they learn how to endure pain and discomfort for an extended period of time. And there's actually a magic time frame. So get your pens ready. There's a time frame. Scientifically, if you can endure pain and discomfort for this amount of time, you win the game. You will achieve the mindset of legends. You guys want to know what the time frame is? You're all fools. It's the duration of your entire life. So I'm being dead serious. If you can accept the fact that suffering is a part of life and you're going to have to endure it for different parts throughout the entirety of your life, then you will win the game. This is what all the greatest mindsets in the world have. They have the ability to understand that even if they don't know when the suffering will end, they can endure it, and they accept that as a fact of life. So I'm not saying you guys are going to suffer for your entire lives, by the way. I'm saying that if you can accept that as a part of life, it'll change your mindset. So there's two options. Option A is people try to desperately avoid suffering at all costs until life hunts them down and ensures it. Or there's option B, which is you could welcome suffering, walk into it on your own terms, ready to learn its lessons. And most people choose option A, as you can tell by the slide. But option B, guys, if you choose option B, you'll be amongst a rare breed of people. And if you choose option B, you will be more fulfilled, you'll be happier, and you won't have to deal with the stress and the anxiety of wondering when suffering is going to happen to you, because you're comfortable and you know you can handle it. So the more you self-impose suffering, the more control you have over your life. So here's two examples. There's the guy on the left here. He's playing Wii with one hand. Wii's supposed to be an active game, but he's slurping spaghetti off of his chest. He's trying to avoid discomfort at all costs. He's trying to be as comfortable as he possibly can. And so at some point in time, by avoiding suffering, he's going to get smacked in the face, maybe with diabetes or whatever else. But the guy on the right, he's going on a run. He's getting out there. He's getting uncomfortable, if you will. And he's self-imposing suffering. So it doesn't mean that the guy on the right isn't going to have anything bad happen to him. Surely he's going to have something in his life come along. It's going to be really tough, hard to handle. But it does ensure that the guy on the right, the person who self-imposes suffering, will be able to handle it better than the person who doesn't. So again, it doesn't ensure that bad things won't happen to you, but it does ensure that you will be better equipped to handle them. Okay, so now you guys know suffering is important. I've told you guys it's part of life. I'm going to give you guys the actual types of suffering here so that you guys can identify it and you're better equipped to handle it. So Any type of suffering that happens in life comes about through the mind or the body, correct? Has anyone ever experienced any other type of suffering other than the mind or the body? Anybody? Emotion, mind, agreed. The answer is no. There's only two types of suffering. But yes, emotional is one. We'll dive into that. So there's mental suffering and there's physical suffering. And here's a little way to think about it. So physical, super, super easy. Is something on your body in pain or discomfort right now in this moment. Super straightforward. Not 5 minutes from now, not 5 minutes in the past. Is something on your body in pain or discomfort right now in this moment. Mental is where it gets a little trickier, but it's also still not that hard to comprehend. Basically, humans, we were given intelligence. So humans are different than any other species because of our intelligence. And so one thing that we have that's unique is we can project future situations and basically we call it our imagination. We also have memory, so we can process previous situations and relive them. When people suffer from their imagination, when they suffer from projections of the future, society calls it anxiety. And then when people suffer from reliving past situations, people call it depression. Okay, so how do you overcome this? You guys understand the two different types of suffering? This is where it gets a little bit more esoteric, but I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard that you have a consciousness, you're not your mind or your body. So a really simple answer is if a little bit of distance arises between you and the body and you and the mind, it will be the end of suffering as you guys currently experience it. But that's a lot easier said than done. So here's 3 things that I do that help me create that little bit of distance in my life between who I am and what my body experiences and what my mind experiences. So 1 is a meditative practice. Find something that works for you guys, whether it's guided meditations or it could be, find a guru or something, or you could literally just sit there and practice being really present with yourself and trying not to think. That's a little counterintuitive, but number 2 would be enhanced awareness of your thoughts and actions. So just take time throughout your guys' day, block off 5 minutes here or there to just check in with yourself. So be more present, check in with yourself, and see what kind of compulsive actions you're doing on a daily basis and write them down. Super, super helpful. And then lastly, 3rd, guys, repetition and experience. So put yourself in situations of suffering. Get in a cold shower. Go do a hard run. Do a hard workout. When you're in those moments of suffering, you'll be able to notice certain thoughts, certain emotions, and certain feelings arising. The more times you guys go through those things, the better off you are in handling them. Okay, so here's a wavelength. Guys, I'm kind of like a science teacher I'm figuring out. Here's a wavelength. This represents life. Basically, in life, there's the bottom parts, the troughs, those are the valleys, those are the moments of suffering. And then there's the peak moments, the moments of a lot of experience, of peak experience, rather. But guys, the bottom moments are essential to, they are literally essential to life because they serve as reference points. So without having those bottoms there on the screen, the valleys, if you will, you would not actually have life because you couldn't have the top without the bottom, because if you didn't have the bottom, you would have no idea what the top was. So it's the same thing in life where people are like, you can't have up without down because then you would not know what up was if there's no reference point. And here's a better example of that. If you just took the very peak and you wanted to live that your entire life, the top of a wave, it would end up becoming a straight line, which on a heart rate monitor, you guys all know what a straight line represents. It represents death. So you literally cannot have life without having the moments of suffering, the valleys, and the peaks. So I'm going to give you guys one last little, mental exercise to kind of walk you guys through this. Imagine you made it to the end of your life, not a single scratch on you. You played it so safe that you never fell down, you never got hurt, you were never embarrassed, nothing bad ever happened, you basically won the game. That would be the greatest tragedy that you could possibly have in life, because without ever being tested, you would never know what your potential truly could be. So you would literally make it to the end of your life, guys, and you would never have been tested. You would not know what you're made of, and it would be a waste of a life. And then I just included this little picture here. It has nothing to do with the slide. I just like it. Okay, so I'm going to give you my last little laws on mindset, a couple action items, and then close it off. So my personal laws on mindset, this top one's the most important to me. +2 in everything you do. I took this from my time at Ohio State. Coach Meyer used to preach this to us all the time. Basically, we used to have to run 2 yards past the line everything we did. We'd do 2 extra reps or 2 more minutes of film, or if it's business, 2 more emails, 2 more minutes, you show up 2 minutes early to the meeting. Whatever you have to do, just go +2 in everything you do, because this little math equation proves it perfectly. If you do 99%, most people in life do 99%. They do just enough. They do all the hard work. And if you take 99% and you multiply it to 365 days, a full year, you will get 0.03. You will wither away almost to nothing. But if you take 1 and you multiply that to the 365th power, again, 365 days, you'll be at the same level. So you'll still be at 1. But if you had just gone from 0.99 to 1.01, which is +2, you will be at 37.78. So you will have compounded up far past anybody else. So +2 in everything you do, just write that down. Remember +2. If you just go a little bit further than everyone else, over time you guys will separate yourselves and you'll be in a totally different spot. Okay, next point. The rest of these are pretty quick. Diabolically laughing in the face of adversity. My friends and I do that on long runs. Like during the 100-miler, we were literally like doing that evil laugh because it's funny to us as we're running. And also people who like have fun, they laugh, and like the less serious you are, the easier things are to handle. And then another one's don't give your pain a voice. This one's physical only, guys. If you have like emotional problems, those things are good to talk about. But physical only, like during a 100-mile run, I rolled my ankle super bad at mile like 65, and my friends were like, "Oh my God, like what's wrong?" And I was like, "Oh, nothing. Like nothing happened." And then like obviously I paid for that way later on. But in the moment, if you guys are having trouble, the second you give your pain a voice and you start complaining about it, the worse it becomes. No end in sight policy is another one. So if you guys have goals that are too big to be chunked down, or if you have moments in your life of suffering that you feel like are never going to end, implement what's called the no end in sight policy. That just means pretend like it's never going away and just accept the fact that that's the pain you have to be able to withstand. And then the suffering part gets taken out of it because you've accepted that that's the way it's going to be. Next, positive thought loops and mantras. This is for if you're in a really bad situation, like you're really struggling with a workout or something, and the negative thoughts are just spiraling. Just choose one specific positive thing and just focus on that and just say it over and over and over in your head. That helps a ton for me. Take the longer or harder route. Basically, every time I'm on a run, if I see a tree or like something else, I'm always going to go past that tree. So always, if you guys are in a situation where you're like, oh, I don't know if I should go the harder route or the longer, like just always take the longer route. Praise your effort, not your outcome. This one's really important to me as well because a lot of times people are really focused on the outcome in life. If you fail at something, it's not very encouraging, but just focus on your effort because that's the one thing that you guys can control. You guys have probably heard that before. And then another one, Jeff touched on this. If you're going to do it, fully commit. When you fully commit to things, hard things become easy. If you do not fully commit to things, easy things become hard. And then lastly, keep the promises you've made to yourself. That one's very simple. Just do that. And finally, give yourself rest and occasionally break your own rules. So create times of planned breaks in your life. You don't have to do the same thing all the time. I actually struggle with this. I'm a disciplined person, so I like to keep my routine, and I do the same things over and over and over again. But occasionally it's good to switch that up and break your own rules. Okay, so if I could give you guys 3 action steps that you guys could take away from this, these are the only 3 things you did that would help shift your mindset. 1 would be meditate every single day. 2 would be hard physical challenges. So do something every day that sucks, whether it's cold showers or run or workout or some type of thing that sucks for you. It's different for everybody. And then do 1 boundary pusher every other month. So I call it a boundary pusher because It should be something that's just difficult for you to physically do outside of your normal routine. So you guys need to check yourselves every month or every other month at least. And then third would be the power hour. This is 1 hour every day minimum of dedicated work with no distractions. And just dedicate it to like learning or something you want to be creative with. It's actually harder to do than you think. Most people don't do 1 hour of fully focused, dedicated work, sometimes even in an entire week. So I'm leaving you guys with this. Take a look at your own lives now. Find whatever it is that you guys are avoiding and recognize, like this little girl here on the screen, that whatever you guys are avoiding is actually your greatest opportunity for growth. So if you can just figure out what you're avoiding in life and realize, oh, this is the part that I probably need to address, it's going to be your greatest opportunity for growth. So hopefully you guys now understand that what some people call suffering, the one thing that everyone's trying to avoid, is actually the peace that you cannot live without. Just kidding, that is Bitcoin. All right, thank you guys. Go suffer. Yep.